Hey everyone, this is the 10th episode of my podcast. Today's my guest is Luka Stripat. Sorry if I didn't pronounce that perfectly, but Luka is a CEO of Creative Motion and Reactor X. He's also Forbes 30 under 30. He has a lot of different experience, and I'll let you, Luca, go from here. Maybe you can tell a little bit more about yourself.
Sure. Hi. Hi everyone. What else can I tell about you? You already said everything about myself, really. Yeah, I'm working in the startup industry for about 8 years and a bit. Finished uni last year, and that's all I got extra.
Cool. So, how did you become an entrepreneur? What's your story? Did you know that you want to be a startup founder or like a business person from the childhood, or maybe you realized when you became older?
That it's actually a really funny story because I shouldn't have been an entrepreneur. I mean, based on my entire lifetime, I actually started with tech. I'm very passionate about tech. So when I was I don't know, 7, 8, something like that, I was very lucky to be born in a relatively rich family. Okay, I mean, you have to be aware of your privilege. So my parents were like, "Hey, so what do you like?" And I was just like, "I don't know." So they said, "Okay, let's get you a computer." We heard that computers are, the future and stuff like that. They weren't technical in any way, so they got me a really shitty computer because that's what they could afford back then. I was like, "Hey, I have a computer, yay!" And I started playing games, right? Because that's what every kid does when they get a
Of course.
computer. The first thing you start playing games, right? So um, I enjoyed it for a bit, and then I really wanted to play a new game. It was Battlefield 2, not
Hmm.
3, Battlefield 2. A while ago, right? I really got early access to computers. But then I bought the game, I put it in the computer because we still had disk back then,
Yep.
um, and it didn't work.
Oh,
It
crap.
didn't work. I was like fuming, what do I do? What do I do? I kept asking friends. They didn't have computers, so they couldn't tell me anything. So my parents either they didn't know anything about computers, so I was just stuck. It's like, okay. So then I thank God we had the internet, so I googled it and I was like, oh, I need to upgrade my computer. I need to buy parts. And
Yeah.
I went to my parents and I was like, hey, I need this much money to upgrade my computer. My parents were like, how much? No, impossible. What are you going to do? No, no, please trust me. So they're like, okay, it's our kid. We'll just, sure, here you go. Here you go, son. So they gave me the money. I bought the parts. I took apart my computer with no preparation, no nothing.
Hmm.
And then I put it back together with the new part and it actually worked.
Cool.
So I was like, oh damn, I think I like this more than the games. And my parents were like, okay, so you like computers now? And I was like, yes, I like
Cool.
computers now. So they said, okay, then you're going to learn coding. What's
Fair
coding?
enough.
Yeah, fair enough, right? I mean, you're gonna learn coding. And I was like, coding? Okay, okay, I'll learn coding. So I was second grade, 10, 11, something like that.
Hmm.
So they brought me to like a private tutor which was teaching like a class of like 26 people in a small crowded room on shitty PCs. We were learning MS-DOS and learning to code in Pascal. Learn to code in
Nice.
Pascal and in what was it before C? In C. We were writing in C. I was like
Wow.
second grade writing in C in this shitty old ass like club for kids. But I actually that's where I got my start. This chick teaching us, she was just throwing sharpies at us whenever she saw we were opening Snake, and okay, this is interesting. If this is learning how to code, this is cool. Yeah, so then I got into it a lot. I kept going to that for my middle school. My parents were like, okay, you're going to a technical middle school. It's like, yeah, fuck yes, let's go. They took me to a middle school which was very technical. They had like high end computers in the laboratories and everything. So it's like loving it here. So I just kept
Sure.
learning and learning about tech. At one point, around seventh grade, I was like, what about hardware? Because I like hardware. I did computers. I've been
Yeah.
learning how to
Yeah.
code. I mean, yeah, it's fine and it's interesting. And now I know C++ by the time I was learning C++. And I was like, this is fine, but I want
Hardware.
I want more. I want hardware. So they're like, okay, what options do we have? They asked the school, and the school was like, there's this new thing. It's called robotics. It's coming our way. At first, it's gonna be with Lego, right? So you're gonna just do Lego
Hmm.
robots. It's like Lego and robots. Ah, you got me. You got. I'll do this. So I
Nice.
started doing that. We made a team. We started doing robotics together, and we actually won the Romanian national championship. We went to
Wow.
Jakarta, to Indonesia, when I was like in seventh grade to compete in the international robotics championship, where we only got 28 out of 180 countries. We could have ranked higher, but hey, what can you do? And yeah, afterwards I came back and was like, love this. Let's keep doing
Hmm.
this. So I kept doing robots all the way through high school as well. In high school, I reformed the team. I got other teammates working with me, and the team slowly turned from a robotics team to like a product team.
Interesting. Wow.
Like
Yeah.
it turned from oh, we're doing this Lego robots, haha, hee hee. Okay, but how are we paying for it? You know,
Yeah.
my parents weren't going through a good time back then. It was a rough patch, and they're like, okay, we can't support this crap anymore, so start doing something else or start making money. I was like,
Hmm.
I'll start making money, I swear. So then, yeah, we started this product stuff, and our first product ever was like uh, a it was a full-on shirt which had
Hmm.
like DJ LEDs all over it, and like
Wow.
would sync to the music, and it would like
Wow.
up and stuff like that. We were like, I don't know, 10th grade, 11th grade, something like that.
That's cool.
We brought that to a school. At the school, there was a recruiter from Polytechnic University. We were just like
Hmm.
in 10th grade high school. So he saw us and was like, you guys, you, you're coming with me. So this guy said, oh, come to this hackathon, to Innovation Labs, which at the time
Hmm.
was the largest hackathon in the whole country. And you weren't allowed to compete unless you were a university student. We were the first high school team to be accepted.
Wow.
And we got in, and we also made it to the finals. We were like out of the 100 and something teams, we were one of the top 20 selected to get to the finals. Of course, we failed, as we should have. We pivoted back then. We turned it from a DJ clothing thing to a like cyclist vest. That it would
Hmm.
signal based on the way you would lean on your bicycle
Wow, that's interesting.
and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Yeah, so it was a great experience, really. And then we realized, okay, so this is the world: hackathons, ideas, startups.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, cool. So, we kept doing product. We kept doing tech. I got better at technical. I got better at product, my team as well. We were just getting really good at, the technical stuff. But we weren't making enough money. So,
Mhm.
like, what's missing? The biggest question. What's going on? I thought this was enough. We only need to do tech, right?
Yeah, now the business, I guess.
Yep, yep. The business was missing so much, and I was thinking, okay, what should I do? What should I do? So I didn't, and then I realized, oh shit, my parents are running a business. I could ask them. They know business,
Yeah.
right? So
Hmm.
just a bit of context, like my mom, she's a journalist, and my dad was running a business with my grandfather. And at the time, I didn't know. I found out later that my grandfather was actually the the longest running business in his niche in the entire of Romania. He was doing like
Interesting.
um, distribution of industrial grade washing machines for
Mm-hmm.
hospitals, for prisons, for all of that stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he was the longest running business in that niche in the whole of Romania. Ever since like communism fell, he just started it next year and
Cool. Mm-hmm.
just kept doing that. So I went to them and I was like, hey, I need two things. I need an office, so I'm gonna use yours, and you're gonna let me. And the second is I need know-how. So I'm gonna just roam around you, and I'm gonna learn from you and what you do.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, sure, whatever, I don't care. They're like random kid just flowing through here.
Yeah.
So they said, sure, come on in. And for the like 2 years, something like that, I just stole everything that I could from them and learned how my grandfather was dealing with bad clients and how he was talking to distributors outside and clients in the country and so on. Super cool lessons, really. And I said,
Mm-hmm.
okay, so we also have to learn business. Technical is not enough. Technical
Sure.
is like 30% of
Yeah.
the whole business. So I started learning business in addition to that. And slowly but surely the thing grew. It was like an agency at first, and now it's turned into a startup studio, which it is nowadays. Creative Motion. I mean that's the one that I've been running for so long. Um, and recently we just had the Reactor X thing. Just a bit of context, like I was looking for a VC fund to join us to fund us and like to hop on board. A VC fund, like a venture capital fund. That's I'm saying this for the audience, by the way. Not I'm sure you know. So a
Sure.
venture fund is like an investor that comes in, drops in a lot of money, and expects you to make 3 times, 5 times more. I was
Or
like,
10 times.
or 10 times, yeah. And I'm
Yeah.
like, sure, I'm ready for that. I'm 21. I can
Yeah.
handle €1 million, no problem.
Why not? Yeah.
Why not? Just give it to me. They were like, no, we're not giving you $1 million. Shut up. But we like you. So how about you take over our accelerator? Your
Mhm.
team takes over the accelerator. You organize it for the whole Central Eastern European region, and you scale it up. And I was like, yes, let's do it.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's the current situation. We've got Creative Motion on one side doing startup studio and building startups and killing ideas and validating and research and the whole mess. And we've got Reactor X on the other side doing acceleration and helping startups from the region.
But how did you turn from the bicycle LED thing to a startup studio? How did that evolve?
Ouch. That was very painful. So we actually ran a crowdfunding campaign
Mm-hmm.
for that LED vest, and we managed to raise the incredible amount of €2,000.
Oh,
Huge, huge at that time. I mean,
definitely.
crazy
Yeah.
money. I haven't seen
Yeah.
that much money in my life back then. So and I was a junior, and I was like, holy shit. But then we quickly realized that €2,000 is not enough to build a hardware product.
Of course.
And we kept growing our team. People started joining, and they were like working as volunteers and trying to help us out. But we quickly ran out of money on that side. So we were like, okay, clearly we're doing something wrong with this, because either we should have raised more money, which wasn't really possible. Either like we should maybe test if there's demand for this. No, let's just build a prototype. So we did. We built a prototype with the money we had left.
Mm-hmm.
We built a prototype and we started testing demand. We started going to there was this show called Bike Fest or something like that in Bucharest. So we had a stand there. We talked to the organizer. We're like, hey, please help, give it to us.
Mm-hmm.
We want to test our idea. And it's like, sure, kids, don't worry. Here's a stand. And for 2 years straight, we came to that edition every single time, and we kept asking cyclists, and we were testing the pricing, we were
Mm-hmm.
testing the materials, we were testing the like luminosity of it, and nothing clicked. Nothing clicked on anything. Like
Mm-hmm.
either the price was too high, or afterwards it was too low, but it wasn't too luminous. There's no such thing as too low, but like the price was low enough, sure, but it wasn't strong enough as a product.
Yeah.
Have enough light, it didn't have connection to an app and so on. And the problem was that we're also trying to sell it in Romania, where pricing and people are very sensitive to pricing.
Mm-hmm.
And we were trying to price it at $100, and people were just saying that's way too much.
Of course.
But now, if you think about it, $100 for a hardware product back in 2014, something like that, that was like peanuts, really, if you think
Mm-hmm.
in the whole picture. But back
Sure.
then, Romania wasn't that developed and it didn't have access to a lot of capital. So, problem of the market itself. So then we realized, okay, we failed with this one. This isn't going anywhere. Let's just, get together and let's talk to the entire team and let's think, what else can we do? What can we do that, to get some revenue, to do some stuff? So we realized, okay, let's pivot to an agency. Let's help people, because we were great at building the website. We were great at building the product. We were
Mm-hmm.
great at, building the hardware stuff. We said, look, this kind of services you can't find anywhere. And people, when we showed them the product, they were like, how did you do it? How did you do it? Yeah, it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Let's place for an agency for this. And we worked as an agency. We just, kept getting clients, kept getting contracts for that. At one point, I just got bored of the agency model. I'm going to be very
Mm-hmm.
with you, because it's just, it's services and you can't scale it too much.
Yeah.
I said to the team, hey guys, we're just going to kill the agency part. Let's
It's
focus
not
on us.
exciting. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So we said, okay, let's kill that and just focus on the startup studio. We'll just try to generate money for the startups that we build. All right, sure,
Mm.
let's go.
And that's how you turned into a startup studio. And in the startup studio, how did that work? Like, how did it start? Where you're now? What's the story there?
Okay, so um, we killed about 1,000 ideas so far.
That's a great milestone.
Yes. I mean, I think my current folder of archived projects, wow, it's like 50 gigs, 60 gigs or something of just like schematics and code and UI UX designs and stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that. So we just killed a lot of projects and a lot of ideas. Some worked, some we sold, some not so much. But currently we're just running 2 projects. And we realized, okay, the model that we should be following is to have a maximum of 2 real projects per year, right? We could start with as many ideas as possible, validate them, but the target should be that at the end of the year to have 2 full ideas, like actually built, actually doing something, right? And then we could spin them off and turn them into startups of their own. So we said, okay, this is a good direction. Let's do that. Let's keep doing that. That's good. Right now we're running 2 startups. One is already spun off. It's one of them is Cruise. It's a corporate carpooling app with
Mm-hmm.
CO2 tracking and a gamified system. So it's basically for corporations that all have the same office in the same place. We group people up with an algorithm that we've built, and so we group people to take them to the office and to take them back home. And we give them points for sharing the car, and also we do a CO2 report tracking for the company. So they get like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, look, your people saved this much CO2 by using our solution.
Cool.
Yeah. So that's one of them. It's already generated some revenue, so it's going well on that side. The other one is a furniture one, like 3D printed connectors and furniture stuff, and plus an e-commerce. It's a whole mess, really. But that's going to come out in 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Yeah. We still have a bit of coding to do, but we validated that. We actually sold
Mm-hmm.
some furniture before, so that's going to go well, if you ask me. But yeah, and other than that, I mean, we've tried all kinds of stuff. The craziest project that we've had ever was a device that you would put under your toilet seat to put
Mm-hmm.
your feet on it, so it would raise, so you can excrete in the correct medical position.
Wow.
That's not revolutionary in any way, but the client that we had for that, because
Mm-hmm.
it was back when we had the agency model, the client that we had for that, he asked for LEDs and for music
Mm-hmm.
to ring out of it, and for a scale, right? For a
Mm-hmm.
weight, uh,
Yeah.
right? So that you could measure yourself before and after. And we did it, yes, but at what cost? You know,
Mm-hmm.
it
Yeah.
crazy, crazy projects, and even crazier times. The team really, super super amazing team that we've worked with. Almost
Mm-hmm.
all of us were under 25.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. And in this startup studio, because I'm not really familiar with this business model, but you mentioned you have like you aim to have two different projects at the end of the year, the full like
Yeah,
ideas. Who owns those companies? Is that like owned by you, or do you find like a team somewhere?
fair. So let me take you through the whole business model. First, I
Hmm.
recruit a world-class team. That's my biggest priority. Like number one, get really good people on board. Then we try to find a niche that we like to focus on. For example, now, since last year, we really focused on sustainability and on the
Hmm.
saving the planet and the green direction and green technology, because really that's going to be the future. So we said, okay, we like this direction. Let's find a problem to fix. So we're searching for problems, searching for ideas, searching for solutions in that field particularly. Um, and afterwards, we're like, okay, let's do validation, let's do research, let's do interviews, let's make sure that there is actually something to be built right there
Yep.
in that direction. After like we have the case validated, we say, okay, let's build it, let's do a prototype, quick prototype, rough, you know, our entire team focuses on that, really. I mean, if we get to the prototype stage, everybody moves focus to it, and we can get a prototype done in a couple of weeks. We get a prototype out, all good, testing it. If we see that also the tests are valid and there's good feedback from the market, okay, this could be a business in itself. So then
Hmm.
we ask the team, who wants to lead this? So we select from our
Yeah.
inner circle from the team who's worked on it. We select the best person for it. That person moves out of the company, out of like Creative Motion, and it's a spin-off. It's a
I
spin-off
see.
company.
Yeah.
We create a new entity and so on. How do we make money out of all of this? We retain a percentage of the new company. So
Fair
that person
enough.
who
Yeah.
who spins it off, they usually get the majority amount. And startup studios usually take about 30%, 40% of the new
Hmm.
entity. But the problem with that is that you're really blocking the ability for any new investor to jump on board.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we decided, okay, we're not going to offer them investment, because usually startup studios also offer investment. We don't have the capital for that. So then we're going to take a much smaller cut. So we take between 15 and 20%, which really, because we're dilutable, we don't have capital for follow-on investment. We're going to get diluted to 5-6% by Series A. So
Yeah.
we really don't fuck up the cap table for that. We're trying to leave as much breathing room for the startup as possible, even though our return is going to be much smaller, right?
Hmm.
But it doesn't really matter for us, because at the end of the day, it's the startup that does its work, and we get the know-how, we get the information, we learn so much from doing it that,
Mm.
the capital and the revenue, that's secondary, really.
Yeah, but how do you manage to like in terms of financials, do you have like outside capital investments going to you to kind of maintain these operations, or did you have some big return already from one of the startups? How is that working?
So we actually have three revenue lines. One is um, hackathons. We just go to corporations who are really bad at innovation, and we hold hackathons where we teach them design thinking and we help them generate ideas for themselves. Either it's a marketing campaign,
Yeah.
technical product, new product line, or whatever. So that's our main revenue line. Really, that's where we're making most of our money. But that's to have like rolling cash, to have cash flow, right? To have positive cash flow for activities.
Mm-hmm.
Then our second revenue line, of course, is the startup studio, right? Building the startups and so on. And our third revenue line is the accelerator, right?
Oh, so it's the part of
Yes,
the studio. I see. Mm-hmm.
we're getting paid for the execution of the accelerator.
I see. So, the accelerator, the reactor X, right?
Yeah,
That's the accelerator that you guys are running.
yes, yes, yeah. And it's supported by Smoke Ventures, and we're also in talks to bring another VC fund on board. We're
Mm-hmm.
trying to, because right now the accelerator is really cool because it also funds startups. It gives them 25,000 euros for 5% equity. And I'm trying to get that up. I'm trying to bring the deal up to make it out of 25K to make it 50K. So I'm also looking for another venture
Mm-hmm.
fund to join us.
Mm-hmm. I see. I see. Um, yeah, that's really cool. This kind of system, the business model is, I really like it. So you're positive on your cash flow, like the business is working fine, right?
Define fine.
I mean, you're profitable, I guess, if you can
Yeah,
share.
yeah. We really don't have a lot of cost. I mean, generally the cost for us is either prototyping or people and the services of people. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we don't have any overhead, we don't have any stock on the main business. Each of the startup has its own thing, Like for example, for the furniture stuff, we have to hold stock and we have to get it's a whole mess, a whole
Yeah,
different business, right? But no, overall the entities are profitable. I mean, I can't tell you like it's a margin of 80, 90, 150, 200. I don't have those numbers because it depends. We could have hackathons for the entire autumn and then have no activity for winter,
yeah, of
but have the startup doing well, right? I mean, we don't measure it by traditional metrics because it's hard to measure by traditional metrics.
course. Yeah, so you're running this whole thing, and how old are you now?
I'm 23.
You're 23, running this huge thing with different spin-off companies and like accelerators. And you obviously achieved a lot in a very short time. So, how do you feel about that? Was it like, how did that evolve? Maybe mentally, like starting from like doing projects with your team, not succeeding, and then you're kind of figuring it out. How did that go?
It's crap. I do not recommend to anyone to do what I did. Um, my entire high school, instead of, living the childhood, I was focused on building the business. So then I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't really enjoying myself because it's stressful to build a business. And, all through university as well, really focused on my stuff, didn't really get to enjoy it. And there's so much stress coming with it, and the responsibility of having somebody on your payroll is huge, and you could waste people's time so easily by being an owner, an entrepreneur. You could have people waste a year of their life because you made the wrong decision, and it haunts me every single night. I have to go to bed with the thought that for this person, which I really liked and which I really value, I wasted a year of their life by making the decision to put them on this project, which they weren't really fond of. You could
And
so easily waste the most precious thing ever for someone just by making a really stupid decision. And I'm sorry, but I'm 23. I still make stupid decisions.
we all do, yeah.
Yeah. So it takes a toll. It really does, and that's why I wouldn't recommend anyone to do this young.
I mean, but you still did it, and I guess you wouldn't. If you like was 5 years ago again, would you still go down that path, or would you change something?
That's a very tough question because if I had the mind and the information I have now, and I were to go back 5 years ago, I would do things very differently. Yes, and I would probably be even more successful. But that will never happen. And realistically, let's say the scenario is like 5 years ago with the same information I would have had back then, I would still make the same decisions. Because I knew what I wanted, I knew where I wanted to go, I knew exactly, what kind of path I want to build for myself. So probably nothing would have changed, really. But I'm just saying that I shouldn't be an example. Everybody is
Yeah,
like, oh my God, let's look up at Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk and this guy who did that at a very young age and bullshit like that. But really, I mean, everybody lives life at their own pace. That's number one. Number two, if the decisions that you made brought you at a point in your life, you shouldn't be regretting the decisions that you've made. You should be thinking, what decisions can I make next?
sure. Yeah,
Everybody's like, oh my God, this guy, he's like 25 and he's doing this like rocket science thing, and I'm 27 and I barely get out of the house and I'm working in a dead end job. Okay, sure. But don't regret your past decisions. Think like, okay, I'm 27. What decisions can I make now to improve it? Because
yes,
you're just gonna be stuck. You're just gonna be frozen, and you're gonna be like, what do I do? Everybody's doing things faster than I am. And again, time and age doesn't have any relevance. Everybody goes in life at their own pace. And sorry, but I was able to do all of this not because I went through good things, but because I had to put up with all of the shit, the
of
crap,
course.
the
Yeah,
bullshit that I've had to deal with. I was like 2 times close to go bankrupt. I had people just, following me, trying to beat me up for stuff because that's, it's stuff that happens.
mm-hmm.
Um, and it's a lot of stress for someone, at so early in their life. That's why I wouldn't recommend anyone to do things my way. I would recommend them to do it their way.
Of course. Yeah, that's a great advice, I think. Um, so you mentioned the team and the responsibility that comes with it. How large is your team now, like at all, including maybe accelerator too?
Okay, so the biggest we've been, we were about 30. The biggest team size ever was 30. But that is not really relevant because we were 30 and we were very efficient. So my
Yes.
team now is about 6 people. Really good, really high quality people that I can rely on. And I also have a network of about 15 collaborators.
Hmm.
So people that I can call into a project, and I know like, hey, this person is really good on UI UX, so I'm calling them and dropping in and fixing stuff and then leaving, right? Because I don't really think that the future of work will be in employees and in hiring. It will be in collaborators and people
Yep.
like doing multiple things, multiple projects, and handling other stuff and having the liberty to tell me to fuck off and that they don't have any time for my project, right? I mean, really, I would like for them to have that power. Because then again, if I feel like I'm responsible and I'm the employer and they're the employee and I'm responsible for their time and the project that they work on, I'm really making decisions for their life, which isn't fair. You should be making the decisions for your own life, and you should be
Yeah.
making the decision if you want to join a project or not. Right? So that's why I'm trying to keep it a bit lighter in terms of core team. The Jeff Bezos rule, right? Feed the team with two pizzas.
Yes.
If you can't feed them the team with two pizzas, is too big. So I'm trying to keep it really light
Yeah.
in that regard.
Yeah, so how did it go from 30 to 6? Did you have to lay off some people? Did they just go over the
That's a very
years?
long
They
discussion. We had a small implosion. 2.5 years ago, we had a small implosion where, because again, I'm inexperienced, I, and that's no excuse. Yeah, I made the decision. I made the decision when there was a situation with an employee. I made the decision to fire them on the spot without respecting our community guidelines,
Mm.
without respecting our code of conduct. I took the communist approach, the dictator approach,
Yes.
which didn't really stay too well with the other people in the team. Uh, and they were very respectful. They were very honest and very vertical themselves because I recruited them to be so. But then I should have been an example for them. I wasn't. They didn't see me as an example anymore, so they left. So I had 8 people out of the core team drop out, all of them at once,
Wow.
which, again,
Wow, that that is painful, I guess.
having
I
to
can
deal with
imagine.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was during my bachelor thesis, while I had to write my bachelor thesis.
Yeah, yeah.
Wonderful experience, really.
I
Top.
mean, but that's an experience that nobody has at your age. That's that's
A lot
something
of
that you
learning.
can
A
build
lot of
upon.
learnings, and again, I mean, I'm not trying to defend myself. I really was an asshole for making the decision without really, consulting the code of conduct, without talking to them, without any, and really, there were a lot of factors, not just that. At one point, being so stressed, I was starting to make decisions erratically and without consulting anyone and without getting anyone's input. And I was making decisions like, oh, we're doing it this way because I want to do it this way, not because it's the right way to do it.
Mhm.
I wasn't taking any advice from anyone. And, that kind of stuff really breaks up a team.
Wow, wow. But I guess now you have a lot less people, but you probably are figuring out the efficiency, how to utilize the resource that you have, the people that you have for the best extent that you can, right?
Yep, yep, yep. And I think it's a bit better now compared to previously because I learned my lesson and I delegate a lot. And people just come to me to ask stuff, as in ask opinion, but I let them make the decision. And I think that is very powerful, especially in smaller teams where people feel responsible for their stuff and it feels like it's theirs, you know. And I'm trying to also leverage that with giving them equity in the startup studio itself, because you can't be responsible for something but not getting the upside of it, right? So I was like,
Yeah.
okay, you joined, you're here, you're doing all of the work, you also should be involved in the upside of it.
Yeah, yeah, that's fair. Yeah, so you have you have had like a lot in those maybe last 5 or 7 years. What are the top lessons and mistakes that you've made that you can share so that other people like you wouldn't do that and like kind of build upon the knowledge that you already have?
That's again a very tough question. I mean, Lesson 1, don't be an idiot. Lesson 2, if you're an idiot, be honest. Lesson 3, if you can't be honest and you're also an idiot, don't be an entrepreneur. Um,
Wow,
really,
that's a great quote.
if I were to put it very bluntly, that's it. I mean, you know, you can be an idiot and run a business perfectly. You can, if you are honest. If
Mm-hmm.
you, I don't know shit, I'm an idiot, teach me. Okay, and I'm honest, I don't know how to make this decision, make it yourselves. You can be the perfect idiot and run a business if you're honest. If
Mm-hmm.
you're not honest with yourself, with the other people around you, with the team, with everyone, you're an idiot and you're not honest, nobody's gonna follow you. Idiots, we still follow. There's a lot of examples, right? Now, the best
Sure.
case scenario is where you're also knowledgeable, because you can't be smart, you're knowledgeable, and you're also honest. That's the best case scenario, because then people are gonna
Mm-hmm.
follow. That's it. That's
Yes. So the top two qualities that you put as very important for entrepreneur: be honest and be knowledgeable.
Yeah, yeah. If we are to put it in 2 words, I think it's not that different from politics.
Hmm.
It's not that different from tribes. It's not that different from the group at school that you had. It's really not that different from how humans usually organize themselves. Business is just another form that we use to get together and do stuff. Um, and I think we're all smart enough to realize that the current capitalist system with, employees and salaries and bullshit like that, and it's going to go away sometime soon. So the
Hmm.
more honest you can be with the people working in this current system, the better.
Do you think, or should I ask, how do you imagine the future system of work be if it's not gonna be reminiscent of the current capitalist system? How is it gonna look like in your opinion?
Okay, so that's continuation in my TEDx. No, I'm kidding. So this is a tough topic because myself, I don't think capitalism is going anywhere. Unfortunately, though, capitalism itself has a lot of weak points. And the one that I hate the most is that there have to be winners and losers for the system to work.
Hmm.
There have to be people who are exploited and people who exploit. Is the reality of the system. It really is, unfortunately. Um, I don't think that will go away as much as I wish it would. However, we can still work on everything else that capitalism is doing bad. And the one thing that we can start with is the use of resources. We can still have good capitalism without using resources in the way we do now. And um, one of the biggest aspects that I think we can fix rather easily is externalities, right? Capitalism does externalities really badly. Externalities as in, when you're producing a shoe, how do you calculate the cost of the shoe?
Hmm.
You take in the raw prime material and the service work, and then that's it. But you don't take into account the byproduct, the rest of the materials,
Yeah.
the pollution that you make, the lifetime value of the product, because you give it to a person, they use it, and then they throw it away. So you don't take into account the trash that they're gonna generate out of that shoe. And I think again, capitalism is bad at externalities, and it's something that we can fix tomorrow. Inequality and the winners and losers thing, I don't think we're gonna be able to fix in the next 100 years, really. And I also do not see capitalism going anywhere soon because it's the best version of human organization that we were able to find. I mean, communism, we've tried it, it doesn't work. Because again,
Yeah.
it's not that it doesn't work in theory. It works in theory and the principles are fine. The problem is that with its effect, communism gathers power into a single point, which then makes it very easy to be abused. In capitalism, we're kind of seeing that happen as well, right? Because capitalism works with a democracy. If you only have capitalism and you don't have a democracy, it's no better than communism.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
And then again, so it's a whole mess, like talking about the full economic principalities of this. But I do have a recommendation for anyone looking to understand this better and to understand why capitalism is not going to flow for a long time. There's this guy, this Romanian, Nicolas Georgescu Rogin, who wrote
Mm-hmm.
Entropy Laws and the Laws of Economics. And he talks about the combination between the laws of physics and the laws of economics and how those two don't really get together and how we should actually be more careful because laws of physics are more powerful than the laws of economics. And we're not really taking those into account when we're doing our economic systems. So yeah, great read, highly recommended, a bit technical, but really, really powerful.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's really great thoughts. I do still wanna take a step back since our time is limited. I'm really curious about the Forbes 30 under 30 because I do have people like you in my network. I haven't really asked any of them how did they get it, and maybe you can share your story because I guess that's something that might be interesting for everyone.
Let's be 100% transparent. Yeah. Forbes 30 under 30 is a bullshit ass title that really, you know, just like your diploma from the university helps you get a
Yeah.
job, so does the
Mm-hmm.
Forbes 30 under 30 title. You know who else is Forbes 30 under 30? The guy
Sam Bankman-Fried. Yeah.
Sam Bankman-Fried, the girl who founded Theranos, and so
Yeah.
on. Really, it's just a title. And the way you usually get it is by being very well connected, by having a
Hmm.
good network. Because Forbes 30 under 30 is a recommendation-based prize. Somebody has to recommend you, and you have to be vetted and verified, and so on. And also, I'm only Forbes 30 under 30 in Romania, which means I have a very good network in Romania. I'm not Forbes 30 under 30 Europe. I'm not Forbes 30 under 30 US. I'm not like global and so on. And again, being Forbes 30 under 30 doesn't mean that you're good. It means that you're very well connected with the Forbes team. That's all. That's all it is. It doesn't mean that you're great at executing or that you're amazing or something like that. I know so many people who are Forbes under 30 in Romania and they aren't doing shit. Sorry, guys. I love you. I do, but you're not doing anything. 30 under 30. What the? Again, pardon my French, yeah? So it's just titles. But yeah, titles help, right? Somebody who goes on my LinkedIn and is like, ooh, Forbes 40 under 30. For the people who don't know, who aren't part of the network, who aren't that interested in all of these intricacies and all of the stuff that's happening, and they're just looking at the surface level stuff. It's like a good jacket. If you dress well and
Yeah.
you have a good jacket on, okay, first impressions matter.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Um, so I still have two questions
Should
that might be really interesting. First is what are your energy sources? You mentioned that basically the whole of your high school you didn't necessarily go to many parties and you focused on business. Currently, you're still doing that. How do you maintain that maybe balance of energy, maybe living like just normal life and running a business?
so my biggest well of energy are stories.
Mm-hmm.
I love stories. I'm a big fan of stories. And I don't care their format. If it's games, if it's movies, if it's books, if it's whatever. I love stories. So stories is my biggest energy source because I read a story and I'm thinking, crap, that's a very good story. And ultimately, business is also a story. You know, the story of the product, the story of how you're helping that person go from not having it and having it and being better, right? It's also a story there. So for me, stories are a great energy source and also a great inspiration source, right? Because then I'm using the story to also tell my own stories. I'm like picking stuff from all of the other stories that I'm reading. And I think that the power of stories is really underrated because that's how like human society grew so much through the stories that we told each other. So that's my biggest energy source. And the second one, um, I really think it's creativity. I like still executing, right? It's someone
Mm.
in my position usually just makes decisions, and they have to make really good decisions, and they have to be informed. So they stay curious. They keep reading stuff. But I like reading stuff, being curious, and executing. I'm still executing my own content. I'm still writing my own content. I don't use ChatGPT for that. Uh, I still like editing my own videos and my own interviews. I like doing that. I like doing my own websites. I like just also being there and being able to also put in the work, right? So I get a lot of energy from execution. Uh, Again, my usual day to day is making decisions, sending emails, getting connected, growing the network, making sales. But when I come home, the way I relax is that I execute something.
Hmm. Interesting. Yeah, yeah, interesting. And what about hobbies? Do you have something that you just do outside of work which helps you maybe put a distance between your day-to-day work and just doing something that you really enjoy, or is it a part of what you do?
Does drinking count?
I guess.
I do love to drink. I mean, I'm a big drinker. No, I'm kidding. Don't put that in. I mean, I'm not an alcoholic. Sort of, kind of. Um, no, I mean, I do go out. I love going out. I love dancing. I love, but I feel like it's part of the networking thing. I feel like it's part of
Yeah.
work somehow. And I don't really see a clear boundary between work and life. And I don't think that there is. If you're at a point in your life where you set a boundary between your life and your work, it means you don't really like what you work.
Yeah, that's a very good idea or thought.
I mean, look, if you're really passionate about the stuff that you're doing, and you don't have to be, don't get me wrong. Sometimes you just need to work to get a salary, and there's nothing wrong with that, and you should be doing that because you don't have the luxury of having capital at any time. But there's a limited time you can do that. You can't do that for 50 years. It's impossible to do that for 50 years. It liquefies your brain. Do it for your early years when you're trying to get experience or you're trying to get know-how and so on. But at one point, you're just gonna be like, why am I coming into work? I clock out at 5 and then I don't want to hear about work anymore and I don't want to see work anymore. And so then why are you still doing it? You know? Um, and I know it's a luxury. It's a luxury to be able to say, I quit and I don't want to do this anymore and I'm going to do something else. It's an immense luxury. Only people who are able to build enough capital to be able to quit can do it. And with most of Central Eastern European people, they can't build that capital to have that luxury. So this advice really is fucked. I mean, I'm trying to give you advice to quit your job and pursue whatever you love, but sometimes that's not possible. Sometimes that's not the reality. And I feel like it's advice for rich people. If I were to give advice to like general to everyone, just try to be happy. Do what makes you happy and which doesn't kill anyone else. I mean, it's as easy as that. You can't. I could give advice for rich people. I could give advice for people struggling. I could give advice for people in their beginning. But it's such a messed up world, and any advice that I give is gonna be wrong because everybody has their own thing, their own life, their own path. Right? I could give you like particular insights, like, oh, look, I'm trying to start a startup and I don't know how. Yes, God damn it, I'm here. I'm here for you. Let me help you. But if I were like to give advice on how to keep the balance between your life and your work, fuck, no
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah, man. I honestly I can already think of five quotes that you made today, which I can reuse and put as I know as like some motivational Instagram story or something. It's amazing.
If you want one quote, my quote is don't quote me on that. Don't quote me on anything. Uh, yeah, that's my quote. If anything, if anyone asks, yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I see where you're coming from. Like every person has its own situation, and you cannot generalize
yeah.
because it's just so complicated, and every person's situation is different.
I can give you advice then, like if I get to understand your situation, I can give you particular advice. That's what we do for the hackathons, right? We go
Yeah.
to a company and we understand them as well as we can and then give advice. But if I were to be like, oh, let me give advice to pregnant women, huh? What? Huh? Let me give advice to all young people, huh? What? Again, like
Yeah,
it
it's
doesn't work that way.
yeah,
If you build a product that's for everyone, it's for nobody. Just like with advice, if you give advice to everybody, you're not giving advice to anybody.
yeah, definitely agree. Well, then the last thing that one of my friends really wanted me to ask you, and I told that I'm gonna have this conversation. How do you handle self-doubt? So, having built a lot and struggling through a lot at young age, you probably have struggled with self-doubt too, and maybe you still are. So, how do you deal with that?
So if you asked me this 8 months ago, I would tell you I don't. And I
Hmm.
doubt myself every single day. And I still do. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I don't think it's solvable, or at least myself, I can't find a solution to that. I just doubt myself. But what I saw worked. So I'm talking to my girlfriend. She's a bit more accomplished than myself, and she's also a well-being and therapist, and in the area of like being aware of your own. So I just tell her my doubts, and she's like smacking me like, "The fuck are you talking about, you bitch? You've done this, you've done that, you're doing well, and this is really well executed." I'm like, "No,
Yeah.
but I don't feel it's right." Shut the fuck up. Get back to work. I think having a body, a friend, a therapist, someone to share the self doubt with really helps clear it up.
As someone who can listen to you and really understand your situation so that you can share what you really feel with them.
Yep, yep. And they don't even have to understand. Sharing it is part of it. I mean, just putting it out there and catalyzing it and being like, hey, I have this self doubt. And your friend could even not be listening. You could be in a strip club, him with like a woman in his lap, and just telling him, look, I'm really doubting myself at work. I don't think I'm doing a good well analyzing these exams. And your friend could be like, what? Doesn't matter. You
Yeah,
externalized it, you've said it out loud, you're aware of it, and now you can get back to life.
yeah, great advice.
Sorry,
All
I
right.
painted a dark picture, but I think
No, that's a good picture. That's a good picture. Many people will appreciate it. Yeah, so how do you want to end? Is there anything you want to share? Of course, you cannot generalize and just give one piece of advice to everyone, but maybe with some end words, you want to share something?
Yeah, well, I'm not a big fan of words and like closing with like this statement or something.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna close with this. If you really want to get into startups, if you really want to learn, we're working on a map. It's called Venture into Startups. I'll send you, Danny, the link to it.
Okay.
Still work in progress. We only have 4 of the 20 chapters done, but I would recommend for you to follow it and to learn from it. There's a lot of advice that we're trying to put in there. Most of our know-how and our internal process is going to be on that map and how we do things in our startup studio. I mean, everything will be there, transparent, out in the wild, so you could learn and do it yourselves without having to, pay somebody else to do it. So I think that's one thing that I would advise you to do. And second, yeah, sure, follow me on LinkedIn. I'm posting a lot of content. I'm trying to help people with that content. I'm launching this newsletter next week, which is called Founders Compass, which is going to help people get content and get more understanding on this particular industry of startups.
All
That's all.
right. I'll share all the links in the description. It's gonna be easily to find it. All right, man. That was a great episode. I really enjoyed it. Like one of the best episodes for sure. So, man, thank you. Glad to have you back one day if you're up to it. And yeah, great conversation. Thank you. Thank you again.
Thank you as well, Danny, for the invitation. It was awesome. Thanks.
Thank you. Bye.